So I'm Astro Yoga Woman Debbie Barnett. Today is Wednesday, April 18th, 2018. This is the Learn Western Astrology Meetup group. We're meeting at Crave coffee shop in Tucson, Arizona. It was a balmy like 85 today or something like that. Yeah. And now it's like cold. But anyway, not that I'm rubbing it in how wonderful Tucson weather is some of the year. All right, so tonight's topic is the astrology of April. So what's going on today? Anybody know? What's happening today?
Saturn is retrograde.
Saturn retrograde yesterday. Yeah. What else is going on? It's probably not very well publicized, right? Not that many people know about Chiron.
Oh, I've heard it's in my chart.
It's in everybody's chart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like I've noticed it because I don't know what it means. But
Okay, so it looks like a little key. That's Chiron.
Chiron is a Greek teacher. So
Sword,
Yeah, mentor.
It's an asteroid between Uranus and Saturn. Am I right?
I think it's by Pluto, but anyway, it's out there. Yeah, it's an asteroid, but it's also classified as like a planetoid, like a small planet. But it's the mythology of it. It's a centaur, so it's half man, half horse. It was wounded. It was part god, so it was immortal, and yet it was wounded with an arrow, because they're centaurs, so it's like Sagittarius. So it couldn't die. It had to have this wound, and so its mission, if you will, was to figure out how to overcome this wound, and then teach other people how to heal their wounds. So wherever you have Chiron in your chart is like where there's a potential past wounding, whether this life or past life. Somewhere in your experience, there might have been some wounding that happened. So if it's in the first house, it might have been your physical body, whether it would be abuse or your self-esteem took a blow. If it's in the ninth house, it might be your philosophy or your ideas about religion or higher learning or law, or somebody maybe said, oh, you're not very smart or something, And so once you overcome that wound, that's where you teach other people, because it was the mentor.
What about the 12th house?
In the 12th house, so that's the hidden house. So that could be secret enemies, things that are hidden from you, the subconscious, like below conscious level, which is a huge, vast delta of confluences from a lot of different areas. Yeah, so it's like it's a spiritual house, so the Pisces house, yeah. So what is happening today is that Chiron changed signs. Now, because it's out near Pluto-ish, or out at least past Saturn, we know that, it takes a long time to go around the sun. And so when Chiron return happens at about 51.
Okay.
You have a Chiron return.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Saturn is 29.
Yeah, Saturn is 29. Jupiter is, it's every 12 years because it's 1 month or 1 year per sign. So it's about per sign, 30 signs around the zodiac. So it spends about 7 to 8 years in a sign.
Okay.
So think back to 2010. Because that's when it went into Aries. So what was going on in your life in 2010? I very clearly remember what was going on in my life, because it was in turmoil.
Yeah,
Everything was shifting and in
I'm
turmoil.
trying to think of what was happening. Oh, I was graduating college.
Okay, well,
It's a big change.
that's a big change.
Yeah.
2010.
Oh wait, in April?
Well, it goes back and forth.
Okay.
So it went into Aries today, but it'll come back into Pisces a little bit before the end of the year because of retrograde.
It
So
went into Aries today?
yes, today was the
And it
ingress
was in Pisces before.
for a long time, since 2010.
Going on to Aries, or into Aries, sounds like there's going to be a lot of energy pickup.
Yeah.
That, right?
Right, yeah,
Faster motion.
right, good. So this is how you, what's called keynoting a chart or an aspect or a transit, is you take the energy of the planet, in this case Chiron, planetoid, asteroid. And then you say, okay, well, it's going into Aries, so what is Aries? Fire. Cardinal, takes action, initiation, individuality. Chiron is wounding. So it's an opportunity for us collectively, because this happens to everybody, not just you personally. Yes, you have it in your chart, and the whole world is going through this. It's a chance to discover, how have I been wounded? Like my self-esteem, my self-actualization, who am I? What am I here for? It's Aries. It's the first house. It's your physical body. And it's like a warrior spirit. Like, so what are you a warrior for or against? And maybe it's for enlightenment. Maybe it's for peace. Maybe it's for communication, whatever. It doesn't have to be against something.
That wound, the self will want to look at that wound, is basically what you're saying. And
Right, the wound will be up for examination.
Right.
Everybody's.
More so than if it was
The
a different
collective.
sign.
Right,
Okay.
because Aries it's fire, right, and it's the first, and it's the individual. So we're going to individually and collectively examine our wounds, personally, metaphysically, physically. And so there could be, like, you're going too fast. Like you said right off the bat, it goes fast, right? It's ruled by Mars. And so it can be aggressive. It wants to take action. It wants to do something.
Feeling that.
Right.
Oh,
Like
big
a frustration.
time. I am. I'm like on edge. I don't
Okay.
know why. There's
A
no
lot
good
of
reason
people
for it.
are.
Well, so people are saying they feel on edge, right? Have you felt that as well?
Yeah.
So 3 out of 3 or 4 out of 4? How about
And
that?
usually I'm like, but I thought, okay, maybe it was because the Mercury retrograde
Right.
and everything like that. I'm like, but that's
Right.
over now, so what's
Exactly.
going on?
Well, here's
Yeah.
the thing though. Okay, so we'll transition. Here's another thing that's happening in April. Okay, so we just came out of a Mercury retrograde, right? So April 15th, it turned direct, which was Sunday. However, we've talked about this before. What happens with retrogrades?
Oh, it takes a week after.
A week or two.
While
Yeah.
it's positioning itself to go direct. And
Well, it is going
or
direct.
it's going direct, but it's like
It's
slowly
slow.
going direct.
Right.
So it's still
It's
being
picking up
turbulent.
speed.
It's like an accustomed phase almost.
Kind of. So it had been seemingly going backward, and then it stations where it's standing still, and then it's like starts to inch forward, like a train. A train doesn't
Right.
jet out of the station.
Okay, that
The
makes
train,
Yeah.
So Mercury, it's been like on Sunday it stood still. And it's like, all right, I was doing this, and now I'm like here, and now I'm gonna start. So even though, yes, it's out of retrograde, it's not where it was. It's not itself. It's still like, it like just woke up from a nap. You know how you sleep too long? Like you take a nap, you sleep 2 hours, you're like, oh my God. And you don't want to get up. You're like, oh God, I want to go back to sleep. Well, that's what Mercury is right now. Oh my God, I want to go back to sleep. Yeah, it's moving, but it hasn't had its coffee. It hasn't like checked its email. It hasn't taken its phone off airplane mode. It's still like, yeah, I'll deal with that later. So that happens. It gets back to, so it turned direct at 4 degrees of Aries. So wherever you have this, most of Aries in your chart is where this retrograde has happened. And so on May 3rd is when it goes, it reaches the degree where it's stationed, which is about, I want to say 26.
Hey, hey.
Yeah, I know, right? May 3rd. So from the 15th, so it's about 2 weeks for it to get back up to speed. So really, it's a month. It's at least a month long between from when it stations direct. But think about it. What is the point of Mercury retrograde? Well, you're triple sad, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
To reflect and
Yeah.
like, be inward and
Reflect.
Never paid really attention to it because I have absolutely no Mercury anything in my chart.
Yes, you do. Mercury's in your
Well,
chart.
it's-
Of course
but
it
not
is.
I'm not as one of them. It's like
Not as one of what?
these. It's in the 7th house. You're right.
It's conjunct your partnership house. I'd say it's rather important. If it's conjunct an angle,
that
hello.
is important.
I don't understand.
Talk about oy vey.
Yes.
It's not important. Okay. Actually, that's Chiron. I'm sorry. That's Chiron. It is in your first house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not conjunct
And it's in
my
what's known as
relationship
its
house?
fall, because it's the ruler of the opposite sign, right? It rules Gemini. It's in Sag, so it's not necessarily a happy Mercury necessarily because it's in its opposite sign. However, because it likes the mundane things, Sag likes the big picture. It doesn't want to get bogged down with the mundane details of everyday Gemini life. And yet that's what, it wants to nitpick on the details, but Sag's like, but the big picture. I want to travel.
That sounds like my relationship with Carl. Because Gemini and I'm Sagittarius.
Right.
I'm big, and he's like, small little details.
Yeah.
Day to day. I'm like,
Yeah, right. No, yeah. I don't have time for that. No way. No way.
This version of it, but I think it's
See.
It's hard. I don't like reading because it's not as clear as
Uh-huh.
that one.
What are we looking for?
I think it's in
Oh,
my
where
fourth
Mercury went
house.
retrograde?
Or I think Mercury is in my fourth.
Well, what we were looking for was where Aries is, because
Oh.
that's where the retrograde happened. So that's your first, second, that's your third house. Yeah.
is mine the fourth?
So the retrograde happened. Where's Aries? Right there. So fourth house, fourth and fifth. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely happened in the fourth house. That's for darn sure.
Yeah?
I felt that for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not out of the woods yet.
You know?
Okay.
Is it a home related thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yours is 12th house, and a little bit into your first because you have Aries rising. So it'll come back over that
Third is friends.
towards the end of the month.
Siblings, I think.
Yeah, siblings, neighbors. It's lower education. Remember how I was saying the meeting of people at the workplace because it's lower. It's Gemini things. Everyday, daily type. Your neighborhood, the people you see at the coffee shop, the people on the bus if you take a bus, or neighbors. Okay, so wherever Mercury's stationed, or wherever Aries is in your chart is where Mercury was retrograde and is now moving forward. So you might start to see things move forward in that area of your life. For instance, it's in my 10th house of career. And so it's like my career, my job kind of came to a standstill. And I thought, okay, well, as soon as Mercury goes direct, I'm going to see things move. Sure enough, things started moving forward. I started getting all these calls for readings and can you do this? Can you do dog sit? Can you do it? I'm like, okay, Mercury. All right, I asked for it.
And you said that it went direct today? Or
It went direct on Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday.
Yeah. So what happened today was Chiron into Aries, which is also very much a want to move forward. However, yesterday, Saturn turned retrograde.
Saturn is also a teacher.
And Saturn, all the planets are a teacher, I would present. Jupiter is known as the guru, as the teacher, the dispeller of darkness. Saturn is the taskmaster. You know, he's the bringer of karma because it's the earth plane. So whatever you send out comes back, right? And it's about structure and discipline and practice. Like, for instance, I'm a yoga teacher, Hatha Yoga. So after decades of practice, I can do, I don't want to say master certain asana, but I can do them well. Let's just say well. And so people see my practice and they're like, God, that's Saturn. I put in the time and the discipline and the patience and the try it again and falling down again and again and again and keep getting up. That's Saturn. So when Saturn goes retrograde, instead of like being concerned with our exterior world, it's more of an interior. So Saturn is our physical, like our bones, our teeth. You might feel like creaky joy. A lot of people are complaining about teeth pain and joint pain and bones aching and feeling their age, which is Saturn, right, in Capricorn. And Saturn's in Capricorn. And it's also about being realistic. So things that aren't sustainable aren't going to last. They just can't, right? They got to go away.
The truth will reveal.
The truth is coming out, and it's time. Saturn is time. It's, Father Time and the Grim Reaper and all. And so when it goes retrograde, instead of like trying to set up, say like you're going to start a business and it needs to be finished out, instead of doing it during this time, this might be a time to review the plans. Like hire the architects or interview the architects, you know, line up the designers, start picking out the everyday little minor detail things before you actually start to build, right? Or at least like, yeah, do the homework. Saturn rewards discipline, right, and work. And if you put in the time, its rewards are said to be greater than Jupiter because it's material benefits on the earth plane. Jupiter is more spiritual. Like, oh, I'm in, and I love bhakti yoga, right? I'm all in the bob, and I still got to pay my bills.
Yeah.
I like to eat, you know, I like to put gas in my car.
Yeah.
And that's Saturn, right? You got to be practical and have your finances up to date. And so this is a time to review your structures, whether it's your finances, your banking, you know, your inflow, your outflow, organizing your files.
I love it because I did those things today.
Yeah, see?
Unbeknownst.
Yeah, unbeknownst to you, right?
Like she said, like not only financial, also spiritual, both with the guru,
Yeah.
more spiritual, Saturn is both.
Okay.
But if you need to keep that on the ball on the both sides. If you let one
That's
down,
true.
one will be good.
Right. So both. So here's the thing. That's a good point. Thank you. Is Jupiter and Saturn? These are the social planets. So Jupiter is also retrograde. It has been for a bit. And so the social planets don't affect us personally so much, like the ones that are closer in, but it affects society. So when Jupiter went into Scorpio, we saw this Me Too movement come out and all this stuff about sexual abuse and right, and that's Scorpio. And Jupiter expands. So it's like the teacher, the guru means dispeller of darkness. So it's like a light is shown on this issue so that it can be brought up. So Jupiter expands, Saturn contracts. Constriction, expansion. It's our breath. Expansion, constriction. Over and over and over. It's our life, right? And it's Purusha Prakriti. So it's the part of us that's never changing, that's eternal, that's pure consciousness. And then Prakriti is always changing. So our physical body is Prakriti. Our mind, our thoughts, our emotions, always changing. And so how can you be both expansive and contractive at the same time, right? That's what a yogi does, right? How do you balance between the worlds? And so when Saturn's retrograde, it's a good time to organize your closets. You know, do some feng shui, clear out the clutter and what doesn't serve you anymore, and maybe you're hanging on to it because of some emotion attached to it, and every time you look at it you feel bad because you can't wear that anymore, or whatever, you know, whatever it is. It's like take a cold hard look at the reality, because Saturn is reality. Like, this isn't being used, it's taking up space, which means it's taking up energy. Let me donate it to somebody that can use it so that other people can benefit. And when you create that vacuum, it feels better, number one, when you open your closet. You can find things easier instead of trying to, oh, where's that? And you're digging and nothing's organized. And it creates that vacuum for new to come in. Okay? So that's what you would do with a Saturn retrograde. It's like, get your plans in order before you act. Not to say you can't act during it, because it's going to be till September, like September 3rd. So for the summer, yeah, right? But it gives you lots of time. And this happens every year. It's not like, you know, oh, surprise, oh, I didn't know it did that. They all do. But now you're aware of it, right? So now maybe you're a little more sensitive to it. Like nowadays, everybody knows about Mercury retrograde.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess even Madonna was saying, when's Mercury retrograde going to be over? Like, when it's over. May 3rd. And you just notice, like, you'll start to see a shift. Like, things start picking up.
Yeah.
So Saturn is the brakes already, and when it's retrograde, it's like the brakes are on even more. Right? There's even more constriction.
Much this makes sense right now, especially because, like, you know, I'm getting married on the 1st of September, and it's like I'm basically making up my game plan for the next
Right.
up to that date.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Yeah. Well, this is the time to do it. And just know that Mercury goes retrograde again, like around my birthday, which is July 27th. So get done whatever you need to get done
July 27th.
before then, before the shadow. Yeah. All right. So any questions on Chiron into Aries? It'll affect the collective. So you'll see people like, kind of like more standing up for themselves and taking initiative and taking action and maybe being more questioning. Like I have an expectation, we'll see if it proves true, that my astrology business is going to take off. Because people want to know. They want answer. Why am I feeling this way? You know, I feel like things are shifting. Like, how can I maneuver this new landscape and this new terrain as it comes up? So maybe more introspection, more about me. You know, think Aries. What are Aries about? You know, starting new things, new ideas, pioneering, being first, being independent, solo type things, being a warrior, being action oriented. But also see a lot of ego come up.
Yeah.
Like everybody's like, oh, it's about me. No, it's about me. No, it's about me. And so, you know, and especially when
I know a few. That's
yeah,
Quite a few.
quite a few.
Quite a few in my life.
Oh boy.
They take some patience.
Yeah, they're very nice people, but
Right.
right, exactly.
All
intense.
well, it's fire. You're fire. You're triple fire.
My best,
than the Leos
my,
or the
my
Sagittarius.
best friend is Sagittarius, and it's a whole different
Uh-huh.
It's a
feel
different
with
energy.
them.
Yeah.
Right.
It really is.
Yeah.
Well, Sag is ruled by Jupiter, Guru. Or Aries is ruled by Mars, which is Martian, which is war, right? The god of war. So do you want the teacher or the god of war, right? Even just right there, looking at those two things, it's two complete different energies just by their ruler. So Sag is more seeing the big picture, more philosophical, more spiritual, more like higher learning, and Mars is like aggression and action and drive and take charge and right, and more about themselves. Yeah, but we all have Mars in our chart, and we all have Sagittarius in our chart. We all have Aries in our chart. So I learned my lesson once, because I used to say that too about Aries, like, oh, and I know why. I'm like, it's too much ego for me. I'm like, I got enough ego. Like, I'm a Leo. I'm like, too much ego.
Can you explain the difference in energy with like Leo and Aries?
Yes.
Because sometimes I do see a lot of similarities in
Right.
how they how it materializes, like in how they interact with people.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know, what are the nuances?
So, well, from my experience, Aries, they're both, any fire sign, and I've said this before, any fire sign is ego. And so if there's a lot of fire, there's a lot of ego. And that can be self-absorption, right? And it can be a focus on themselves to the exclusion of they don't even know somebody else is there. Aries tends to be more independent. Like it's almost like they have blinders on, because that's what they're meant to do. They're meant to like, I'm the lone wolf who's going out into the desert or the forest or the wilderness by myself, and I don't really need anybody else. And if you want to follow me, great, and if not, great. But I got all these ideas, you know, sometimes they're put to work and sometimes not, but all these ideas, and it's all about this focus toward their drive. Leo, on the other hand, supposedly the king and queen, wants a court. It wants people around it fawning over him. It's not the independent, or her. It's not that, it is independent, but it's a leader. And it leads by example, because the king or queen's word is law. So if they make a decree, that's the law of the land. So it's very much about integrity and honor and taking care of their people.
Okay.
Hopefully a benevolent ruler, hopefully not a dictator. Fidel Castro was a Leo. Right? Was it Mussolini was a Leo? Yeah. So definitely there's that. But if they come from the heart, which is what Leo, instead of the head, that's a whole different energy with a conscious Leo.
Yeah.
Any of the signs unconscious are going to be horrible.
Yeah.
Leo is ruled by the heart, right?
Yes,
Aries
is the head. And then Sag rules the thighs. And so Sag is more like athletics and competition and sport, and it's the archer, so it's like hunting, and it's the centaur. So it's a teacher. It's the guru.
Okay.
It's Jupiter.
So Sag is more
Foreign
about
cultures, foreign travel.
being about being a teacher, being an example.
They can get kind of self-righteous. The thing with Sag, they can get on a soapbox and preach.
Okay.
And become, because it rules preacher, it rules religion and preach. So they like, I'm right, and because their ego, right? It's fire. There's ego. I'm right, and you're not, and you're gonna listen to me, and I'm gonna bop, 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 bop.
Doesn't usually work very well.
And a lot of times, not always, but I've known my share of Sages who have open mouth, insert hoof disease, because they're about truth, right? And they're kind of like kids, where they don't have a filter, which in a way is refreshing, but in a way it's really not socially acceptable, not really socially acceptable, but they'll just speak like, oh man, that shirt, God, where'd you get that? At a thrift store? I mean, I shop at thrift stores, so I'm not saying anything like, you know, but it's like, and then they see the reaction and like, oh, I shouldn't have said, and then they, blah, 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 blah. Well, I didn't mean it like that, you know, and then they try to pull it back, but it's out there because there's not really any filter.
Okay, this explains people.
This explains.
My best friend Julie, she said, and we've grown up together since kindergarten, and I get along really well with her. I don't know, she feels more grounded to me as like even a fire sign.
Well, she might have it, you know, in her chart.
But there are times, I remember now, growing up, she'd say things to people. She'd just say, because she's like, yeah, and then sometimes
They tell the
get her in
truth.
trouble, Yeah.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to hear it. And
No.
it was pretty funny. I mean,
Right.
at the time, it was scary because they
Yeah.
got mad. But
Yeah, right. Yeah, I call that, because it's a half horse, right? The bottom half is, so that's why they like athletics.
Okay.
Like they need to be action oriented. They need to exercise and use this energy that they have. But I call it open mouth, insert hoof.
And even
instead
doing
of
that
foot.
is a form of like verbal banter, verbal athletics almost.
Yeah.
Like the way they can talk.
Yeah.
Right.
The way they can banter with people.
Yes. My brother-in-law is a Sag, and both his children are Sag rising. So
That
he,
must be an interesting dynamic.
so he taught them how to argue.
Oh, that was a monster he created.
Yeah.
They might see this, so I'm not going to say I doubt it, but they might. There's a potential possibility they don't see it.
Cut it out.
Yeah. But he used to say, he'd go, Debbie is the only one that will argue with me or debate with me or argue with me in the family. Nobody else will do it. Because I'm like, I'm a Leo. You're not going to tell me how I'm going to think. I'll tell you what I think, and if you agree with me, great. If you don't, I don't care. Other people do. You're not on my court. That's fine. I'll take my entourage over here. I don't care. But I would verbally banter with him, and he appreciated that, because that's what's sad. They like debate, right? They're like the Sophocles, and ancient Greece, it would the rhetoric and the debate and public discourse and the barrister, the judge.
Gemini husband because he likes to talk then, right?
Right?
Talk.
Yeah.
Maybe not argue.
No, he doesn't like that.
No. So, anyway, that's a little bit about the fire signs.
Actually really made a lot of sense.
Right?
I
Yeah.
can differentiate now.
Yes.
Describe at least two of the three Aries I know very well.
Well, the Aries made a
Oh,
lot.
that's what I was going to say. That's what brought this whole thing up. I learned my lesson because I used to say, oh, me and Aries, I don't know. And I seem to have a lot of friends with Moon and Aries, which you don't always know their moon. You know their sun, but until you actually do their chart, you don't really know. But then it's like, oh, okay. Yeah.
What does Moon and Aries look like? In a
Well,
person?
Moon is what you need.
Right.
So Aries needs attention. A lot of attention.
My moon's in Leo, so I.
You need a lot of attention too.
Right.
You need an entourage.
Yeah.
Not
well,
a solo.
Yeah. Well, the people I care about, I need
Right.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
That,
You need the
Confirmation.
pats on the back. You need a cheerleader. You need this.
Yeah. With other people, I'm like, whatever. But
Yeah, right. That's your Aquarius stuff. So I was saying, I went to this astrology meeting in Scottsdale. They have a once a month thing. We have one here in Tucson too. It's actually this Friday, so whatever that, no, it was last Friday. So it's the second Friday, and then the one in Scottsdale is the third Saturday. So I was up there, and like they were putting people's charts up or whatever in the group and doing readings. And some lady was talking about doing coaching thing or massage, whatever she did. And I said, and so I talked to her at the break, and I said, I'm doing this YouTube channel, and maybe that's a way that you can market your services and get your name out there. And she didn't see my name thing, you know, because you put your big 3. The symbol. She didn't see that yet. And so she was talking, and she goes she said something about Leos. And she goes, "Oh, I can't stand Leos. Oh, I hate Leos. Oh my God, they're the worst." And I'm laughing. And she goes, "My brother-in-law is one, and my husband says not to say anything." And I go, "By the way, Leo." She's like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed. Oh my God." Gemini. Yeah, and she said, and she goes, "My husband told me that was going to happen." And I'm like, "Hey, I've said it myself about Aries. Now I know how it is." So I'm like, "I get it. It's totally fine."
That's funny.
And then later I was sitting at the table that she was at talking to a mutual friend. And then she got a look at my tag and she goes, "Oh, you have a Gemini moon?" She goes, "I'm a Gemini sun." I go, "Oh, okay." I go, "What's your moon?" She goes, "Leo." And I go, "What?" I go, "You can't hate Leos. You hate yourself." What? What is all this? "I hate Leos." Oh, you're disowning yourself.
Yeah.
What's that about? And then she called me like just a few weeks ago, and like I didn't associate the name with who it was, you know, at first. And then she's like, "Yeah, remember the one who said about the Leos?" I'm like, "Yes, you." I do remember. That was a good lesson. Thank you. But see, a Leo will laugh at themselves, I think, right? They're a little more jovial. Aries, not so much. A little more personal. But Leos are very sensitive, right? Super sensitive. Gemini, a Sag, I think, will laugh at themselves a little more because Jupiter's jovial. It's jovial. It's supposed to be happy.
And
Right.
they seem a lot more cerebral too, in that they can
Yes.
recognize that
Right.
they have to laugh at themselves.
Right. Instead of the god of war, "Oh, you're making fun. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not funny." Oh.
Oh my God, it's Erica so much. Oh my God, so much makes sense about her now.
Do. So we did lessons. We did all the signs that you can get. They're like $15 a class.
I know, but it's on Tuesdays, my time.
No, it's recorded
Oh.
from when we did it. Because we already did the signs and we already did the planets, and next would be houses. So that's already recorded. Yeah. So maybe you get the fire signs or something. All right, let's move on. Enough about fire. New moon. All right, who felt that? Also on the 15th. No, Aries. No, the sun's in Aries. So Sunday. So Mercury went direct on the new moon.
Oh.
New moon in Aries at like 26 degrees Aries. Anybody? It was also kind of weird because it was conjunct Uranus. So, who knows anything about Uranus? Or Uranus? Uranus.
Is that what rules Aquarius?
Yes, the ruler of Aquarius. Higher octave of Mercury. So just the fact that it rules Aquarius, what does that tell you?
Kind of out there.
Said the Aquarius. Kind of out there. Well, yeah, because it's beyond Saturn, so yeah, it'll be out there. So it's erratic.
Okay.
It's the rebel. Think of lightning. So like it's a stormy night, you can't see anything, you're trying to drive, you can't see a foot in front of you because it's so rainy and dark, and then there's a lightning bolt, and all of a sudden the whole landscape is like lit up like it's the noonday sun. Okay, so it's a sudden inspiration. It's something happening out of like a lightning strike, out of left field. So it's things that are unexpected, but that would cause like a shift.
Okay.
Okay, so the new moon in Aries, this was the last time we'll have a new moon in Aries whilst Uranus was in Aries, because it changes signs in May. So that'll probably be our topic next month, is Uranus in Taurus, because that's a whole different ballgame. So for the past 8 years, whenever we've had a new moon in Aries, we've had Uranus in Aries. So there's been that connection. So this was sort of the last hurrah. And then also with Saturn turning retrograde and Chiron going into Aries, like today especially, is sort of like a turning point. So sort of note what happened today. Like, did somebody call out of the blue and they say, hey, you might want to reconsider this, and you're like, oh, and you have this lightning strike of inspiration, or maybe you watch a video, or you read something in a book, or you hear something on the radio, or somebody tells you something where it's like, and a new seed is planted, because that's what a new moon is, and especially in Aries, right? It's the start of the astrological year, so it's a new season, it's a cardinal sign, so new beginnings, right? So this would be the first new moon of this astrological new year if you start with it in Aries versus Capricorn. Okay, and then conjunct Uranus, so pivotal time. So wherever you have that final degrees of Aries in your chart is where that new moon happened.
So in the fourth again?
So what's the end of it? So that'd be the 5th house, because this is the end of Aries, it's about the middle of your 5th house. So that'd be your creativity. So yours is in the 1st, right? So that'd be your physical body, your personal self, like maybe you start something new.
Yeah, I went to chiropractor.
You what?
Chiropractor.
You went to chiropractor school, or you went to one?
One, because I need some attention.
Oh, you need some attention. Okay, so that's your physical body, right? Bringing it into alignment. And that's also Chiron. Chiron in Aries, the physical body, in the 1st house. So your Aries is, so that would be in your, I know these lines are weird. I want to say that's the 3rd house. Yeah, it is. 3rd house.
So mine's 5th, that's creativity, but it's also like dating and romance.
Romance, boyfriend,
Okay.
rather than marriage partner.
Right.
Yeah. Creativity, children, fun, games, risk-taking, gambling.
All the things I like.
Yeah, right? Yes. And with Jupiter, you're probably lucky at. See? Well, not to brag, but I do pretty well with the ponies. Okay.
Communication, right?
3rd house, communication. Yeah. So it could be internet, could be emails, could be phone calls, could be miscommunications have happened because the.
Communicating with someone recently through that. So,
Uh-huh.
like, really recently.
Yeah.
So I can apply it, I guess.
Cool. All right. Right now, today, another important thing. Did that just get louder? Today, the sun is conjunct Uranus. Right, so that's what's called a transit. I don't know if you can tell on this chart. The inner chart is inner wheel is my chart. And this outer wheel are transits. I ran this a couple days ago. So right now the sun is conjunct Uranus right here. See that?
Yes.
Sun conjunct Uranus.
Is that because they're a certain amount of degrees?
It means they're together. Yeah. So usually the orb is about, for transits, probably 2 to 3, 2 maybe. But since Uranus is an outer planet and the sun moves a degree a day, so it's been applying for a while, like you might have been feeling, plus all this, Mercury direct, retrograde, Saturn, Chiron, all these other things. It feels like a lot of like instability and erratic driving, kind of crazy. Yeah.
I feel like that's every day.
Every day.
Here.
Yeah.
Like all the time now. But I suppose I was like, yeah, I totally feel it happening. It's like,
But you always do.
yeah.
Well, we are having the end of Uranus in Aries, right? It's going to move, it's changing signs next month. So it's like the end degrees, the tail end of a sign, the final degrees are critical degrees. First 0 degrees and 29 degrees, critical degrees. So we've got Uranus right at the tippy toe there. It's at 2805. So it's 2 degrees away from changing signs. So it's like, I'm done. I've done Aries for 8 years now. I'm done. I want to go. I'm ready to move on to new adventures and take on new territory and go pioneer something different. So everybody kind of feels that, but especially with the sun right on Uranus. And these are opposing things because it's Leo and Aquarius, right? So these are not like happy campers in the campground.
Those are opposites, right?
They're opposites.
So what do you think, like after Saturn, because it's either a dwarf planet or comet, how much is the difference of impact between like main planet versus the dwarf planet? Is it significant?
Well, dwarf planets aren't considered as part of the normal astrology generally. Like I look at asteroids, not everybody does. So all the planets have an effect, whether we know they're there or not. They're still affecting us. Whether they're classified or not, they're still affecting us. It's just that once they're named, then they're given attributes. So like Uranus, for example, was discovered, I want to say 1864 or 94 or something like that, I forget exactly, late 1800s. And so what was happening about that time? The discovery of electricity, right? And the discovery, yeah, and so that's how they associate the different things with the planets as like, you know, when Neptune was discovered, what was happening then? You know, maybe it was oil and gas exploration or something, you know, that Neptune rules. So as far as the effect that dwarf planets have, you know, it depends on when they were discovered and what attributes were attributed to them, and as far as what was happening at the time of discovery. So they all have an effect. I mean, everything has an effect.
Yeah.
To what extent, you know, it's hard to say. And some people say, oh, I don't believe in it, it doesn't affect me. I'm like, okay, you say so. You know?
No, entire universal impact, but you know, the degree of impact, is it same as the main planets? Or?
Well, the main ones are the sun and the moon. And because the sun is in your personal chart, your natal chart, that's your identity. The moon are your interior, your emotional needs. And then the ascendant, your rising sign, is your physical body and you. And so when transits are happening, when they hit personal planets, you feel them. Because that affects something in your everyday life. So if it's Mercury, something with your communications. If it's Venus, it could be your money or your romance or your relationships. If it's Mars, maybe your sex drive dries up or your partner's sex drive dries up, or you know, somebody's challenging you in court, you know, something. So we're triggered, and these things set off things when they touch personal planets. When they affect the social planets, the Jupiter and Saturn, we feel it more as a society, less as a personal everyday thing. Like the Me Too movement is a society-wide thing. It's a worldwide thing. It's not just the United States, or it's not just, you know, this kind of woman or that kind of, you know, it's more of a global type thing. And then the outer planets, it's more of it's a longer term, so it's a process. These are longer cycles. So like Jupiter, 12 years. You know, it just changed signs in October, so what was happening 12 years ago? You know, when it first went into Scorpio, when it had been in Jupiter. So it was all about relationships, right? And then all of a sudden now it's in Scorpio. So now we're looking at deep things, hidden things, secret things, power issues, manipulation, sex, abuse, you know, things that have been pushed down. Now it's all coming out, right? So they all have an effect. It just shows up in different ways. Okay, let's see what else. How are we doing here? Saturn retrograde from the 17th. It turned retrograde at 9 degrees, 9 minutes Capricorn. So wherever you have that in your chart is where you'll be experiencing this. And then it goes direct in September. So it's for the summer.
So what are we experiencing?
So that's where you find structure.
Second house, right?
Yeah, so your finances.
That's good.
Yeah. So this is like getting your finances in order, and it's going to be coming onto your Jupiter.
Yeah.
So
okay.
expand, it could expand, right?
My finances. Well, that's nice.
Yeah, so like here's the thing, if you say you like buy a lottery ticket every week and I'm going to win the lottery, I'm going to win the lottery, I'm going to win the lottery. And then you do, but you haven't done anything to like prepare for this. Like you don't know what money you have in the bank, you don't know, you know, you got all this money that you owe, and you know, you're scattered, you're not organized, you're not prepared. Saturn says be prepared. If the flow's going to come, Can you handle it? Because if not, it's going to go somewhere else. It's like you didn't do your work. Pardon me? It's in Capricorn. And it's the planet that it rules. So it's strong there. So that's your natal, yeah. Yes. So you just had a Saturn return. Next week? It's a long process, still, not just because it's retrograde now. So it's back and forth and back and forth. It's like going over that degree and over that degree. Let me see if it says the degree of your Saturn, so I'll tell you. No, it doesn't see. On the side? No. Yeah, it does. Here. 225. Yeah, it's at 225. It says right there.
You'll survive. I know, we all have.
Welcome to adulthood, friend. 21 is freshman year. 21 is freshman year of adulthood. Saturn return is graduation.
It's usually
now you're an adult.
People who aren't prepared.
Yeah.
So I've been preparing.
Yeah, I think you're okay.
That's right. Sunny Chara. Oh, well, we were talking about Saturn. So it's like it rewards discipline. So like I started a mantra practice for Saturn. Om Hrim Shrim Sanicharam Yanahama. It's kind of a mouthful. Om Hrim Shrim Sanichara Yanahama. I'm paying obsequience to Saturn. You were here that time when we did the thing on Saturn? Like making friends with Saturn? We were in the back here. It's like create, like what is it like? It likes discipline, it likes practice, it likes pay. Okay, let me create these practices where I organize my finances on every Sunday night. Let me create these practices where before I do my abhyanga, my self-massage, I like honor the earth for giving me this nourishment. You know, before I eat, I do the same thing. Yeah, rituals and like devotion. It's like I appreciate that I have material goods. I appreciate that I have clothes. Let me keep them clean and organized and structured and act like I appreciate it instead of like, you know, just a mess. Like a kid. A kid doesn't appreciate all this crap.
The energy you put into everything and respect it.
Yes.
It kind of gives back.
It does.
Okay.
Like if you take care of your car.
I was just gonna say
If you
that.
service your car and you get oil changes. You see?
Make sure that I'm like, you're okay. Like even like my space in my apartment, I'm just like, it needs to be okay.
Yes. Don't you have cancer in your chart somewhere?
I don't know.
No.
It's not in the big three, but
Not in the big three, okay.
to me, it's all about the energy, I guess.
Right, it is all about the energy.
Yeah, so that Saturn, Sanishara is 7.5 years of Saturn, that's what in Vedic astrology.
Yeah.
On your previous house, and the next house, and your own house. You know? So that 7.5 years in total is cautious thing we should be.
Yeah, every 7, because it's a 30-year cycle, every 7 years it's going to make a square or an opposition or another square and then the return. So the 7-year itch, part of that, and also that's part of a Jupiter cycle, is 7 years.
So around 37.
It's a square. Yeah, like I'm heading into my second Saturn return in a couple years. So it's
I'm in that.
You're in that now?
Middle there.
Yeah. So whatever I didn't learn at 30, I dang well better get it now.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you only got one more act. You only got one more 30-year cycle pretty much, you know, 60 to 90.
I wonder how that's changed over like the last, centuries. When
Oh, it's quite a bit.
lifespans
Well,
have
because
gone
people
up.
used to live to
Right, like
Saturn return was it.
like
Plus
the
that,
Lord,
right, that was as far as we could see was Saturn was the outer limits with the naked eye. So that was God. That was the boundary. And that's why it's constriction, restriction. And so people only live to about 30. So when they're 15, they're having a Saturn opposition. And what did? They got married and had kids. And often died.
Yeah.
You know, so if they made it to their Saturn return, that was a long time. That was old. Yeah.
I could have kids now.
I'm still a kid myself. Actually, I don't think people. I don't think people should be allowed, but to be married and have kids before their Saturn return.
I know.
Yes,
For that.
but nobody's asking me. So
So Saturn return will be as per the sun sign?
What's
Or
that?
moon sign? How do you calculate Saturn return?
Saturn return is when you're about 27, 28, 29 years old, and then
So
again,
as per sun sign.
yeah, and then again at like 57, 58. Yeah, and then again another 30 years, 87. Yeah. All right. Pluto goes retrograde this month on the 22nd. Probably not something you feel
Okay.
because it's out there and you know.
That's what I was telling you.
Yeah, it's out there. Maybe like if you're very Plutonian, say if you have a lot of Scorpio in your chart or like a prominent Pluto, maybe you'll feel instead of whatever is normally moving outward, maybe it goes more inward. Maybe people start doing like depth psychology or like finding out what's going on. Yeah. And then our next lunation is the full moon at 9 degrees Scorpio. So we just had Mercury turn direct at 9 degrees Capricorn. And then this full moon is going to be at 9 degrees Scorpio. So those are sextile. That's earth to water. So it's kind of funny whenever it's... Huh?
That sounds like harmonious.
Harmonious it is. Well, sextile is harmonious, yeah.
that's right.
But it's sort of like whatever was going on Sunday, which was a lot. You know, the Mercury direct at that degree, and then the new moon, and the Uranus conjunction, and Chiron going into Taurus. All these things that are happening in April, like it's kind of brought to the light when we have the full moon at the end of the month. And it's in Scorpio. So like things around sex and sexual abuse and power and control and other people's money and other people's resources might come out. So look to see where you have 9 degrees Scorpio in your chart. So that's early Scorpio. And there's your Pluto.
Scorpio and Sagittarius.
So it's 6 degrees away. It's still kind of conjunct.
Wait, not
So the full moon's going to be near your Pluto.
Is that a good thing?
That's not a good thing. Remember, no good or bad. Remember, no good or bad. It's how you deal with it.
Okay, well, what am I in for?
What are you in for? So this is in your partnership house, your 7th house. Okay, so something might come to light around either a business partner or marriage partner, or even like I did a reading for someone yesterday, and it's partnership for her could be clients. Like her clients want more she's a massage therapist. They want more of her than she can give. Right? That's a partnership. Like you've got to negotiate the terms of the partnership. And where was yours?
I always get them mixed up, and I don't like this digital one.
Well, go on astro.com.
I thought that's what I was on.
Oh, but they have
Astro
different.
Cafe, right?
Oh, yeah, that could be it. Yeah. So where's the line? Midheaven. Okay, so that's your 9th house. Yeah, and it's coming up on your Pluto too.
Oh,
So both of y'all.
okay.
So 9th house is the Scorpio or Sagittarius house. So it's philosophy, higher learning, foreign travel, foreign cultures, law.
Interesting.
Try not to get on a soapbox.
I think I do that every day.
Okay, well, you're a teacher, so that's kind of your job. You're not much bigger than the kids, though.
I know
So.
if they listen to me.
Okay. Is that Leo moon?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Big roar.
You're like my mom. She's Aquarius, Sun, and Leo moon. That's
Oh,
so
wow.
Oh
funny.
really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
And
Aquarius,
she
Sun,
can
Leo moon.
definitely lay down the law.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Don't mess with her.
Yeah.
I think they teach you that in school, how to do
You
the
know,
look.
I honestly feel my mom was the best at
Giving you the look.
Yeah. She wasn't a teacher, but by golly, if she wanted to be one, got that from her.
Okay,
Good though.
that's right. Oh, so something to think about for the new moon is there something that you want? Like Scorpio is desire. What is it you desire? Like, what do you want to shine the light on to bring to harvest? Full moon is harvest, right? It's completion. So like, what do you desire and how do you plan to get it? So Saturn retrograde is about planning or structure, getting your houses in order. Like think of I always think of the 3 pigs, right? Are your houses in order? Are they made of sticks? Are they made of straw? Are they made of brick? You know, so many people, they cobble something together, this house of cards, and they think, oh, this is good enough. It looks good. It's all nice and shiny on the outside.
So have you done all you can to make the structure strong?
Yes,
enough
your
for the
foundations.
foundation? Okay.
Because it's structured to your bones. So is your financial structure in order? Is your home structure in order? Is your insurance paid? Is your car registration done? Is your...
Extremely timely if I'm changing up like all those things and then
Actually, that's a good thing to do.
like literally.
Everything, huh? All your structures.
Yes.
There you go. That's how we use Saturn retrograde. And then planning.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
You know, not just change to change, but because you want to move
Absolutely. Yeah.
forward towards something.
There's a goal.
Right.
So you're saying Scorpio full moon is going to be here on the 11th for me?
Here
Go
and
back to that. 'Cause I feel very affected by
Yes.
Scorpio moon, like
Yes.
in general, every month.
Really?
It seems to affect me, and I don't know why.
well, it could hit your Pluto. It could hit your Saturn.
Is that
No.
why it affects me?
Well, you feel it.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
the worst. It's like some major upheaval every month.
Jeez. Okay, so you need to take yourself offline or something every month or get out of
I
town.
want to just like go to the
How
mountains
does it-
and never come back, but like
How does it affect you? Does it depend on?
it's
Other
It's
people.
just something's gonna happen.
It's probably groups or friends or other people or...
Yeah, probably. It's probably mostly affected by other people, but because yeah, if I was all alone and didn't have to talk to anybody, I'd be
Yeah, you wouldn't be
fine.
triggered. There'd be no problem.
I know, but I can't hide away. I've got responsibilities and things to do.
I know. Got pets
So
to
that's,
sit.
yes, I know, but that's why, right? Because it's affecting these things here.
Well, you can look
Mostly
at the
Saturn.
degree. You can look at the degree and tell. So the degree is going to be at 9, and you've got Pluto at what, like 3?
Right.
So it's 6 degrees away.
It's not
So
very long. It's enough.
it's wide. It's wide, but it's still, you know, it's the Pluto. Pluto and Scorpio.
Suppose it could be worse.
It could be. So like maybe it's things that are hidden or unhidden, uncovered. Like secret motives or agendas or plans or schemes or manipulations. I'm saying Scorpio kind of.
Right.
Investigations kind of bring things up. Right. Questions, comments?
Well, it seems like a powerful time.
It is.
Like there's a lot of potential to go in a direction that you've been intending to, you know, or
Right.
that you wanted, like just to apply yourself and then actually have your goals materialize.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, obviously, you have to put the work into
Right.
it. And it requires a lot of attention on your part.
But like this isn't a time to procrastinate. You know,
right.
it may not be a time to act necessarily, but it's time to lay the foundation and create the plans and review what you've done so far. Like we've just finished the first quarter. Like what did you plan for this year? And how are you going? You know, how's it going? A review. In yoga we call that svadhyaya, self-reflection, self-inquiry. It's like you don't just, that's what retrogrades are for. You don't just go willy-nilly, balls to the wall. It's like you take time to review and go, okay, let me do my goal tracking. Let me update my finances. Let me see what my cash flow is. Do what?
Like a debriefing almost.
Debriefing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a
Setting forth for
good term.
Okay.
Yeah, it's reflection. Review and reflection and planning.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that, even though it makes
Yeah.
everyone feel crazy.
Right. But see, that's why I say there's no good or bad.
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of comforting in a way that when things are messing up, you're like, oh, blame it on Mercury. You know, there's something you can pin it on.
Right.
Instead of, I'm going crazy. Like I can't, nothing is working. And then instead of allowing yourself to get riled up, which we still do, it's like, okay, at least I know that this will pass.
And it's teaching you to be flexible.
Right.
And flow.
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Like I was gonna do a Facebook Live, and I'm like, everything's too chaotic, and I'm like, no, I'm just not. I'll just record it and put it up later and deal with the sound, whatever else. So it's all good. So yeah, you just be flexible. Even like this, like okay, I'll claim that little counter, and then we'll claim this, whatever.
Yeah.
That's Mercury retrograde too, right? It's moving around and skittling around, so.
Not getting worked up about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't supersize like us.
Don't supersize. That's right. But that's a lot of times what we do, right?
Yeah,
we get on social
that's
media
what
and we,
Americans do.
yes, exactly, Americans. We bitch and moan and complain and get sympathy and oh, woe is me, my phone, oh, woe is me. Like you're not helping. You're not helping matters, you know?
It's going to be the same problem after you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Now everybody's pulled down to your level,
Right,
so.
exactly.
All right, well, I think I'm talked out.
Very
Good.
I liked it, yeah.
Good. It's kind of all over the place a little bit,
Well,
but
right now everything's all over the
everything's all over the place. So we got a little lesson in fire signs.
place. Yeah.
I'm sure I've pissed a few Aries off. I tend to do that. Oh well.
A lot of people do that though.
Right?
It's easy
Probably.
to do.
Yeah, probably. Okay, so next month, Uranus into Taurus. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. What's that going to be like? I don't know.
That's strange because Taurus is very grounded.
It is.
Space and
Yes, it is very out there.
Maybe they'll balance each other out.
Maybe so. Maybe so. Somebody, Rick Levine, I follow his YouTube videos. He said that he like Uranus is inventions, right, and technology. So like wearable clothes, like smart clothes, clothes that change colors to adjust to your temperature, or you know they have like these sleeping coats that turn into sleeping bags or whatever. You know all these different but like smart clothes, like technology built into comfort type things. Like a Taurus, think comfort.
Okay, interesting.
Soft thing.
Right.
Luxurious thing.
Luxurious, soft, top of the line. What else did he say? I have to go look it up. But I think you'll definitely feel a shift. So there's some things that are speeding up, but then when Uranus comes into Earth, right, it's kind of like it puts the brakes on. Taurus is in no hurry to go anywhere.
Maybe we need that though with everything
I know,
else speeding up.
exactly.
Yeah.
So for
Good
the
old
next
Taurus.
couple of years, yeah. Oh, plus we've got coming up, I didn't get a date for this, I think it's towards the end of the month, is Mars conjunct Pluto. Yeah. So Pluto's at like 19 Cap. So Mars, let me see. Yeah, so here it is in this chart. A couple days ago, Mars was at 13. All right, so it's heading up towards Pluto, so probably in a couple days. And so just be aware, like, you know, try not to piss anybody off or try not to piss anybody off. Don't pick any fights or
Okay.
get any road rage things. I know, right? But just, you know, they
I
don't.
did that on Monday with a 7th grader. It was
You got in a fight with a 7th grader?
A 7th grader was about to get in a fight with an 8th grader, and I stepped in, and she blew up at me, and that was the first time that's ever happened.
Oh.
Like, she was like, okay. Like, first
She didn't hit you,
thing.
did she?
No, she cussed me out, though. Yeah, that was the first time I've ever experienced
What'd you do?
that. I was like, okay. And I just let her go. She was already here.
Yeah.
Like, ready.
She was up there,
kick
yeah.
this boy's ass.
Oh, it was a boy?
The one who provoked her.
Oh,
Yeah.
did he deserve it?
Yeah.
Probably.
He probably did.
Yeah.
I mean, this girl's tough too.
Yeah.
That's with her, but
Right. And you stepped up.
And I just tried to diffuse it, and then but
Yeah.
she apologized today. So.
Okay, good. And was she your size? Yeah, yes. I was gonna say it's 5th grade, right?
No, she's a 7th grader.
7th grade, yeah.
12, 13.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's at least your size.
From the south side.
Oh. Oy, oy, oy. Oy, oy,
And
so
like,
let me
I've tried, but
see.
they're all getting in fights lately.
Yeah,
It's all
okay.
this crazy energy that
Yeah,
everyone
so,
just seems so tense and like they're looking for a fight.
They are. You're right.
well, the 25th. 4:25 is when this Mars Pluto. So it's building, right? It's moving up, and Pluto's about to go retrograde, so it's like hanging out slowly right there with Mars being antagonistic with each other.
Yeah. And that's supposed to end on the 25th?
Well, that's when it's exact.
Like, when is it over?
Well, Mars moves about a degree a day. It's about the same as the sun, just about. So, you know, a couple days. A couple days.
A week. Just don't fight with anybody. Yeah, next week.
That's right. All right. So YouTube channel, Astro Yoga Woman, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Astro Yoga Woman, website for readings, Astro Yoga Woman. That's where you'll find me. Thanks, you guys. Namaste.